As well, it is difficult for them to understand statistics. I have a 60% chance of improving, 90% chance of improving. Why am I relapsing? Some of them tend to blame themselves for it. Why am I different? Did I do anything wrong? Why it's me? So their ability to cognitively process that it is a pure biological and statistical manner is not there. In addition to disrupting their routine, and routine is very important for children in this age. Those of you who have kids know that, kids are in school between 8 and 3, and they come home in the afternoon, they study, they have homework, they may have an activity, and showing up to outpatient chemo, coming into St. Jude is very disruptive to their daily routine, and it's going to leave impact on their emotional well-being. Adolescence is more challenging because adolescents care more about their physical appearance. And if you undergo chemo treatment or radiotherapy, your physical appearance is going to be affected. So all of a sudden, if you are a healthy adolescent, you're going to be over-concerned about how your hair look, whether you have pimples on your face, etc. But now add to this a significant physical change due to chemotherapy or radiotherapy. Not only that, adolescents strive to become more independent. So as part of natural development, an adolescent will become an adult, and on the way of becoming an adult, they gain independent skills. And all of a sudden, they have a fever, they're neutropenic, they need to come into the hospital, their mom needs to be next to them, they start losing their independent skills, which would be very disruptive to their development. What also is important in adolescence is the reaction that parents have. So as you know, most teenagers have I'd say at best, okay relationship with their parents. It's part of normal development that teenager would want to reject their parents' authority and connect more with their peers. Parents of children with cancer are more likely to become overprotective. So they're gonna almost control their daily schedule to make sure they're safe and to make sure that they're following the doctor's order. And this is gonna be very problematic because an adolescent doesn't want his or her parent to be involved in their life. And here you have a parent who needs to control every single aspect of the adolescent's life. So research has shown that if you look at the quality of life, نوعية الحياة in cancer children or children with cancer, their quality of life is much less than people who did not go through this experience. Quality of life measures measures satisfaction and other factors as well. What was found is that the resilience, المرونة النفسية أو emotional resilience, and resilience are the skills, psychological and emotional skills that you have as a human being that allows you to, if you're faced with a stressor, to come out of the stressor either as emotionally strong as you were before the stressor or even better. And a great example, Mrs. Chedid, for example, she's somebody who's very resilient. She came out of the experience much stronger than going into it. So resilience are all of these emotional skills that you use, be it paying gratitude to people around you or seeking the support of people around you, positive thinking, relaxation techniques, family support, etc. All of these are resilient skills that will help you either come out stronger or develop problems along the way. Another important thing here, when psychosocial services were incorporated within treatment teams, quality of life of these patients improved. So, مشان هيك it's very important to incorporate services. Another factor that I'd like to highlight is that, treatment itself can also be disruptive, not only the experience and all the logistics of the experience, but treatment itself can be disruptive to the child's development. Because treatments do not come without side effects, and side effects are many, primarily the neurocognitive ones. So neurocognitive side effects can lead to problems with concentration, academic performance. So this a kid who was doing really very well at school all of a sudden starts having difficulty and starts, the grade starts declining, etc. So we have to also take into consideration that treatment can impact the child's development and their emotional well-being. And whether it is because of the experience or because of a natural predisposition, genetics of the child, these children are at higher risk to develop serious psychiatric problems. Research has shown that at higher risk to develop what we call depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. All of these can also impact the child's development negatively. I'll end with a couple of recommendations. So using creative communication and building on the child's interest. So at times it's very important to communicate with the child, validate the experience they're going through, but also building on the child's interest. For example, in this, I think I've presented this in a previous St. Jude's conference, but this is a child who's attending a radiation oncology clinic. He's 12-year-old, Mark, and Mark is very disruptive in the waiting room. He's yelling, screaming, at times tearful, emotionally labile. And then a team member approached Mark and told him, you have 10 bricks on your back. It feels like you have 10 bricks on your back. So 10 bricks is a metaphor, right? And this metaphor allowed Mark to feel validated because it's not a direct way of pointing to the pain. It's a very indirect way of pointing to the pain using a metaphor from a cartoon character or another character. So Mark, once he felt validated, replied, "What are you talking about? 10 bricks? It feels like 50 bricks on my back." And then you know how this communication can make the conversation start. And then how you are now as a team member in a better position to offer either problem-solving tips or any kind of help. And then the team member asked Mark to demonstrate a Ninja Turtle punch of those bricks. So, and then another metaphor of how, you're teaching the child that a problem can be solved if you have the proper skills, instead of directly telling them that this is what you need to do. So we use a lot of metaphors, focusing on the child's interest, and, he asked him to show him how, and obviously it's a happy ending at the end. He demonstrated how he makes the moves and the kicks, and everybody clapped. I mean, it is not always this positive ending, but just to tell you that you can always use metaphor based on the child's interest to validate the concerns of the child and tell them that there are solutions and that you're there to help them. I think I will stop here and leave the rest for discussion later.
شكرا دكتور فادي معلوف على هالمداخلة. بدي أقول لك إنه كمان مرات أنا كنت أقول يا ريت في حدا يتابعني حتى أعمل ثيرابي، لأنه كل واحد بيمرق بهيك تجربة. حتى اللي ما بيكون مريض، اللي بيكون قريب من مريض عم بيتابعه بيومياته بيصير بحس حاله كمان بده ثيرابي. يعني محظوظين الأطفال بوجودك حدهم، هيدا الشيء بيساعد كتير حتى واحد يتجاوز كتير من الأضرار الجانبية إلى جانب معركة بوجه المرض. من بعد ما استمعنا لدكتور فادي معلوف، مدموزيل نسرين طنوس، تفضلي مديرة قسم جمع التبرعات بمركز سرطان الأطفال.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Chedid, and thanks everybody for attending. It's an honor for me to be part of this conference and specifically on this panel. I'll be giving a quick presentation about the global fundraising trends and CCCL's financial support programs. My presentation will be divided into 3 parts. In the beginning, we'll be discussing few challenges that currently the NGOs are facing. And then in the second part, we'll be talking about the core of this presentation, the new fundraising trends in 2016-2017. And we'll finish by mentioning a few of our fundraising programs at the Children's Cancer Center of Lebanon. Starting with the challenges, we'll be talking about 4 of them, 4 of the current challenges. The first one is the increase in competition. As you know, lately, so many NGOs are rising, and each NGO is actually working for valid humane causes. So the NGOs has to work hard in order to stand out, to convince the donors in their mission and their cause, so they will get the support of the donors. Especially that all NGOs are using new channels of communication and trying to engage as much as possible of new donors. The second challenge is the transparency and cost effectiveness. Currently as well, whether individuals or institutions, they are more considered with the cost effectiveness. They want to make sure that their donations and their support is really translated into results in the NGOs that they are supporting. So they are seeking more the value for money, and they want to see proofs of how the donations are translated. So NGOs has to take that into consideration. They have to talk more about their accomplishments, and they have to show figures as well, and their annual reports have to be more of an impact reports. The third challenge is the underfunded fundraising. You know, currently fundraising is no longer someone's part-time job. So fundraisers now are being faced with loads of heavy workloads, and there's big expectations from each fundraiser. So it's no longer someone's part-time job. That's why NGOs has to invest more in recruiting more staff and developing their current staff, and teaching them as well the new ways of fundraising. The last challenge is the different fundraising approach. You know, in fundraising, we cannot use the same approach if we want to target different age groups. And it is known that all donors prefer different means of donation means from the new generations. So NGOs has always to integrate the online and offline strategy to keep the NGO well fed for the long term, especially that older generation, they still prefer their paper checks. However, the new generations now, they're more into the e-donations. Moving moving on to the second part, the global fundraising trends of 2016-2017. While moving into this part, it is major to keep in mind that as the world around us is evolving, fundraising shall be evolving as well. Fundraising and NGOs shall adapt to the changes and shall be innovative. We'll be talking or focusing on 8 of the new global trends. The first trend is donors' loyalty. You know, it is very important, the cause of the NGO is very important for the donor. However, the relationship between the NGO staff and the donor is really very essential, because at the end, the staff are the image of the NGO, and they are the attitude of this being. So there has to be a strong relationship maintained between the donor and the staff, and not only the staff, yet also with the leader and the management of the NGO. And it is also advisable to adapt the CRM systems in order to be able to measure the frequency of support and the donation cycle of the donors. The next trend is the restricted funds, restricted donations. Previously, it was more current or more common that supporters just give donations to support the mission of an NGO. However, lately, the restricted fundraising is becoming more trendy. The donors are more interested in giving and funding specific projects, so it's no longer that easy to get a simple donation from any donor. So NGOs has to reframe their general appeals to focus on specific programs and to invite the donor to be part of specific projects or programs. Third is the broader concept of philanthropy. The term fundraising is no more trendy, unfortunately. It is more advisable to be using the word philanthropy because it connects more to the humane aspect of the act, the support, the need to support the humanity, rather than just talking to the pockets of the donors. So the fundraising is more a materialistic term. Currently, it's being conceived as a materialistic term, whereas philanthropy is more a humane terminology. So it is advised that all NGOs to shift to the term philanthropy, whether in their direct mailings, meetings, or any means of communication. Crowdfunding, I'm sure probably so many of you have heard of this term. It is the hit nowadays. Crowdfunding helps in identifying and engaging new donors and also engaging the old donors through something playful, social, and mission-focused. It helps, so NGOs, in order to be active in crowdfunding, they have to invest more in their online presence, and they have to identify people who are very active on social media to make them their own ambassadors. It's also advisable for the NGOs to be part and active in the giving days and peer-to-peer fundraising like the runs, walks, marathons, and similar activities. Humanizing the marketing, or actually, in other words, it's storytelling. It is really very important to be talking about specific stories, specific cases that really convey or portray the mission of the NGO. We can keep on talking theory from hours and hours, but it is really different when we talk few minutes or when we let somebody to talk about their own experience, as Mrs. Chedid expressed a while ago. Her words touched every single one of you, and her genuine experience and the way she portrayed her experience made us feel with her, made us even live, even if we didn't experience the pain, by itself, but she was able to touch the hearts of every one of us. So the storytelling is really very important because it is conveying the reality, the truth of the experience of those who are suffering at a certain point. So it is advisable for the NGOs to be focusing on this part and to be using these aspects in whether in social media or all other means as well, whether in meetings, letters, or their websites. And currently the technology that allows the live video streaming, like the YouTube Live and other mediums, it helps as well to be conveying this experience at the centers or the NGOs. This title, Less Social Media and More Emails, will probably be surprising to so many of you because we think that social media is, more people are into social media. However, apparently in 2016, there was a significant decrease and decline in the donors' engagement in so many multiple social media platforms. And the number one activity on smartphones was reading emails rather than checking the social media networks. So apparently there will be a return to the email-based fundraising, and it is advisable that NGOs create more emails in a way that are appealing to the donors and the supporters, and also to integrate the donation button in the emails to make it more easier for the donors to donate online. Mobile giving will continue to increase because mobiles are currently considered the pockets, the payment pockets, mobile pockets. So it is very essential for the NGOs to have their campaign pages and donation processes mobile enabled. Otherwise, it's considered that they are shooting themselves in the foot. So everything shall be mobile enabled, and because as well it helps us to get more, to make it more easier even for the donors, because we are using currently our mobile phones to do so many activities, whether paying bills or even shopping online. So, and also it is advisable for the NGOs to measure the sources of the e-donations, mobiles versus laptops, and you will find that so many, it's a high percentage actually of the donors who donate online donate through their mobile phones. And the last trend is the Sustainer program, or the monthly giving program. It remains the king among other programs. It is very essential for any NGO to have its monthly donation program, because it allows the donor to choose the processing date and the number of installments, and it is very easy, and it also guarantees continuity for the NGO. Moving on to the last part, financial support programs at the Children's Cancer Center of Lebanon. Before moving on, talking about a few of our